Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Code with Italians, where we have no code today, but we have two Italians and a Greek person. Hi, Alex.
I
Welcome.
Thanks for inviting me.
Oh, our pleasure. Uh, we start with that. So, Alex, I think it would be best if you started by telling everyone who you are first. Well, apart from being one of our supporters and a friend of mine, but who are you? What do you do?
Why? Who
Why
this?
are you here?
Who
So
this?
my name is Alex Styl, which is short for Alexandros Stylianidis, as the Greek name suggests. And I've been doing Android for about 10 years now. And the past 5 months, I decided to just basically pick up my own projects and try to make profit out of them. That's the super short version.
Fine, I can tolerate such a short notice. So before we start talking about indie hacking, I think we have to do the obligatory even section where even does the even thing.
The event section where we are. It's the section where we are very grateful for your support.
I want to make it clear we are very grateful outside the event section as well.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Sebastian. Yeah. Languages are difficult, hard. Jokes aside, welcome to another Sunday. This is Sunday today, right? Sunday with
Yes.
us. And I want to extend gratefulness, greetings, or thank you to everyone that support us in every available way. We have plenty of ways for everybody to actually support the stream. If you have Amazon Prime, you can subscribe for free to our channel, and that gives us like $1 or something. You can subscribe to become a supporter on our coffee page. You can buy products, you can buy the stickers on our coffee page, you can buy the merch on our shop. If you like the t-shirt, if you like the we have plenty of stuff. We have all the mug, the American pint glass. We have like
You've
if you
been
are in the
burned
right
by
season,
that.
we no, but well, I didn't know that. I didn't know that there are like two different sizes. So
Fair
I
enough.
learned that from Mark. So thank you, Mark. But it's important to specify that it's an American size, so it's a bit smaller if you are in Europe. I guess, as Mark said, is the only thing that is smaller in the US, right? I mean, that usually that's the bigger version of everything. And you can buy our stickers. You can buy a lot of our products, and everything goes into our current coffee goal, that is buying more swag to give you back the swag. Because and if you are a first time viewer, you will soon realize that we are gonna run giveaways, and you can win the stickers for free. They are gonna be shipped to you for free. If you are a subscriber, you also get the holo sticker that you cannot buy anywhere. Plus, you will get a lot of stuff like the IntelliJ stickers, like the Kotlin stickers. There is a lot of fancy stuff, and everything is funded by our supporters. So check the coffee page. You will see that there are tiers for everybody. If you are a supporter on a YouTube membership, on Twitch, on Coffee, whatever you pick, you will access our Discord server, where we have private chats and private hangouts. So also something that it's fun to check out. Yeah, I think we are
I
good to
just
start.
put on the screen the gold thing on coffee because As you might have seen, if you've been on our coffee page recently, we have decided that we're going to try and get fancy swag, because in April, so a couple of months down the line, well, less than that, shit, we have our first year anniversary of streaming, and we want to give away a bunch of very cool swag. Including some things that need to be custom made that are not stickers. Unfortunately, there's a very big upfront cost that we need to make that stuff. So our contributions that we get on coffee right now, both as memberships and as one-offs, are going towards the swag giveaway upfront costs. I just put a bar at the bottom of the screen that you can see, and you can have an idea of like how far we are. Obviously, it has to be said, making stuff has a lead time. So the sooner we get to that goal, the faster we can get the swag, and the faster we can then get it to you. It would be good to be able to at least show it on the 25th of April. Yes. When we do the 1 year anniversary stream, but I don't know if we'll manage it, but that's just wanted to be sure that you all know that's coming. Also, Ivan, you're supposed to be speaking Spanish for 2 minutes now.
Yeah. Lo sé. Gracias, gracias. Never come zero por el regalo. Muy feliz. Alex.
Yo.
¿Cómo estás? Hola, Alex, ¿cómo estás?
Hola.
Oh, man.
That ends the amount of Spanish I speak.
Yeah, it's only Ivan has to speak Spanish. Don't worry.
Yeah, I'm the only. That's the new thing. That's why you share with the people that you are learning a new language, and they think you are learning Rust, and then you say, no, I'm learning Spanish. Oh yeah, and then Sebastiano creates a thing that you can.
It wasn't my idea.
Live on chat. Oh,
not my idea.
Technically, it helps. The more you practice it, the more skills you get. So.
Oh yeah. That I'm super happy. So Alex, I want to thank you for this, because the experiment that you are running has been in my mind, something bugging me like for a very long time, because as Sebastiano knows, as our user know, I'm all about pet project. So I have always had something on the side, right? Ideas that you want to build and problems that you want to solve. And they were just pet projects, right? So you have like a main job, and then it's like, in your spare time, you try to do things. So what you are doing for me is incredibly brave, and it fascinates. It's super fascinating to me. So I want to know everything. Because we have probably like a similar background. So you have been doing Android, right? And I have been doing Android. So we probably have the same age, kinda. Aren't you in your 30s?
Yep.
Just exactly. To have a ballpark. So how did you end up deciding, you know what, fuck it, this is it. This is the year that I'm in the middle of a pandemic. I want to do this thing that is incredibly brave, because, why not, right? People are unemployed. I just want to quit my job and work on my shit, because that's what we do, right? So how did that happen?
What you said, that you had side projects in your mind for a long time, it was exactly the same for me. It still is, as in I do have main projects and other side projects that I wish that I build someday or explore and so on. What changed though is that I kept doing Android development basically for so many years. And I worked on different projects, different teams, different components and so on. And the one thing that I realized is that no matter what I do, like the career progression basically that you get is very limited. Basically, if you are to join a company, like a big company, they tend to ask for specializations. Like if you are an Android developer, you either go senior, you level up your seniority, let's say, and you get to do very specific task each time. You handle the development side of things, basically. Or you can become a manager, or I think that those are the two parallels that you get. And there are, in different companies, you get to have different job titles, like become a fellow and all these fancy titles. But in the end of the day, I realized that that is way too limiting for me. Limiting in the sense of I am not super happy doing only development. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love development, but I love design as well. And I love user research as well. My master's degree is on something called human-computer interaction. Think of it like a academic version of user experience. I'm oversimplifying it, by the way. But it has a bit of the human side of technology. I'm a nerd for those kind of stuff. Even on the teams that I was working in the past in the companies and all the projects we were working on, I was curious to understand, the thing that we're building on, how does that help our customers? How do we make profit both for the business, but at the same time, we cater for the needs of the users? It's not, I love writing nice code, good looking code and performance and so on. But at the end of the day, it's a means for helping people, basically. That's how I see it. Or entertain, depending on the problem we're trying to solve. And the way that I noticed that it works if I want to continue working in a company and continue progress through that is the more successful in a way I become, the more I climb up the ladder, as they say, the more specialized stuff I will be doing in the end of the day. But that didn't make me happier, basically, because ideally I want to be able to do something that touches as many not skills, but I'm interested in the whole spectrum of building products, both from what is the problem that we need to solve, why is it worth our time to solve it, how do we build it, how do we make it so that people they like and understand the solution, and a new one these days that I find myself getting into a lot. How do we convince people that this is actually something that's going to help them? So I think that it's the next step on working on side projects, basically. I think that everyone works on their side projects for different reasons. If you want to learn a new programming language, for example, if someone wants to become better at Android development, for example, building a side project for on any topic, something that they like, something that they miss, that they wish that they had, and so on, that's a fantastic way to learn. Similar to learning Spanish, you practice it more and more, and in the end of the day, you become better at that. So yeah, I think that covers the overall arc towards the why doing that. It's funny, it's interesting that you mentioned COVID before, like the whole pandemic, because I feel that it kind of speed up my decision to do something like this. I know that you mentioned Brave before, but I don't see it like that. I saw it more of a, how should I put this? I saw a way of working that I didn't see before. For example, I have never worked remotely, like working from home. Mm-hmm. And I realized that this is something that I really, really enjoy. I mean, it gives me more flexibility towards my time, to tidy up the house, for example, in my breaks or something like that. I never thought about that. Anyway, I think I'm becoming more excited than I should be about cleaning my house. But
No,
No,
I
it's
completely
valid excitement.
I completely agree. I mean, Sebastiano knows that I'm incredibly fond. I'm a huge fan of remote working, and I try to work remotely in the past. I was able to work in the past remotely for people across Europe and on the other side in the US. Then I ended up in Berlin, and everything was in the office in Berlin. And then I lost the because you need that was what you needed to do. But now I'm remote again because COVID, right? The whole thing just proved that well you can save money and there is no impact on productivity. So just get off my free coffee and cereals. So go home. Um,
yeah,
but
so
I also get very excited because I can do things like that I couldn't do in an office, like raise my baby. I spent the whole day with my baby, so
I don't know how it was for you, but for me it was like a whole new world entirely. It was like, wait, hold on a minute. I get to do my work and also not lose other parts of my life, basically, that I had to lose is a big word, but sacrifice. I don't know how to make it less
yeah. But you need
emotional.
to compromise. You need to compromise
Commuting,
on a
for
lot.
example, or being able to fix my schedule according to work. Actually, the other way around, fixing work according to my schedule. Those things, like before being forced basically to work from home, I didn't even think about this kind of stuff. And I kind of like that, I like working from home and all the nice flexibilities that it gives. Oh, by the way, that is entirely on my lifestyle, my life circumstances right now. It's completely personal, I think. I totally understand that some people, maybe in the audience or watching this, might hate the whole thing, which is totally justifiable. But I'm just talking from my personal
Yeah,
experience.
yeah. I see. No worries there. I mean, we don't hate. We don't hate. We are just very very happy and very uh, um, what we have. Very excited what we have.
Mm.
But working from home, it also works for me that I'm doing freelancing. So there has to be something different for you because you were working for a company for a product company,
Mhm.
or were you working for an agency? Were you freelancing before this? How was your previous situation?
So I was working for a product company, and I would say that it was one of the best teams that I worked, one of the best projects, one of the best people, best salary, best all everything was fantastic. But in the back of my head, what I was telling you before about becoming more specialized in development, basically, that kind of it feels weird to me because it's kind of like you have so many interests, but you can only pick one, if
Yeah.
that makes sense. And ideally, I want to be able to do a lot of things that make me happy instead of one. And given the fact that work kind of takes the majority of our days, I prefer to do stuff that my day to day is as enjoyable as possible. Um, so going back to the what happened, what is different basically is that given the fact that the whole new world of remote working opened up to me, I was like, okay, so that thing exists, that is new. What are other things that could be different that I've never thought about, basically?
Nice. Okay.
And one thing that constantly, like for years now, I've been living in the UK for 7 years now, and the one thing that keeps bothering me, basically, is the fact that I had to choose a location, the fact that I had to, for work, I had to live in the UK, which London is a place that I absolutely love. I made so many friends here. I've been to so many events, life opportunities. Like it's great, but I don't want to not be there for my family in Greece or my other friends that are basically scattered all around the world. It's kind of like too many things to give up. But
Yeah.
anyway, that is something that remote work without the quotes can fix, right? Like if you can work from anywhere, you don't really have to worry about that. But it still was something that, remote work, you can work from anywhere. But the other thing is you don't necessarily get to decide when you can work from places. Because in the end of the day, if you're working, in the case that you're not a freelancer and you're working for someone else, for a company, you have days off. By the way, a reminder, please take your days off. I think that a lot of people don't, and it keeps you happy. You still need to ask for permission, basically, to say, could I work remotely for a week or a month or whatever? And most of the times, like when everything is totally fine, people will say yes, and that's not a problem. But it's still something that you need to ask someone for permission. And maybe there's going to be a chance that because of work, because something happens, whatever, you are not going to get that permission, right? And if you had to go back home or travel for any specific region, you might not be able to do that, or your scheduling might be completely off. So in the end of the day, I sort of taking this into a more, instead of thinking work of more of a, how should I put this? This is like a separate thing from my life, as in I live and then there's work that I need to cater for. I start thinking more about what are the things I do love doing? What are the things that if I could be doing them every single day, I would be so happy because every day I would be doing the things that I want to. And I thought, the closest thing is the side projects, but in a more productionized scale. Let's put it like that.
A bit more committed.
Sorry?
A bit more committed to the project. It's more like not a pet project, but like a real project.
Yeah. It's interesting because, you have one side, which is like how basically I do the things that I want every single day that keeps me happy and so on. And you need to understand that it's not just happiness, basically, because in the other side, you have the big, scary monster kind of thing, which is like, well, how are you going to basically make a living out of those projects? Or how is life going to be like not having a day-to-day job? And how are you going to fix your schedule? And how are you going to do a lot of things, basically, that are completely unknowns and were unknowns to me and still are. It's not as if I have a full, clear picture of things yet, but it's part of the fun. It's both fun and scary at the same time.
It's an adventure, and it's an adventure. Yeah, I mean, I really like the argument that you actually brought in about the career that a lot of developers, well, we face, right? There is a trajectory. You join, you start coding, junior, mid, senior, and then you start thinking, okay, what's next? And then there's this management or whatever, or how is it, like individual contributor? Sebastian, is it like, how is it called?
I
right?
see, yeah.
But the more I work, often they are looking for, we want a product focused engineer or like a product, somebody that also looks at the product side of things. But on the other side, they also want the Deus ex machina that they can fix every possible shit that happens, right? So either you want like a uber technical person, or you want somebody that also has communication skill because maybe you are running a user interview or something like that. So it feels like one of those job descriptions where you need to know like 10 languages, 15 million frameworks, and we're looking for a junior. That mythical figure that does not exist. But that actually incredibly close to what I experience with my pet projects, the one that we were redesigning, the Kindle companion app, because as you pointed out, you need to do everything for that thing, right? So you are like, oh yeah, now the app is in Kotlin, hooray! Well, nobody's installing it. Okay, so let's look at advertisement or SEO or marketing and okay, so but now I get feedback from the user. Should I prioritize? Is it like some random dude asking for a feature, or it's a legit use case, right? So and that's the struggle, because if you also are working 40 hours a week, that's a huge risk, because burnout is around the corner. You need to pay rent, so it's like 40 hours already there, and then you are also working on your thing with a lot of energy, because you are doing every possible thing around the project.
Yep.
And it's a tricky situation, but I definitely can relate.
That is the thing. Like, if you start thinking about those side projects into more of how, not necessarily how do I make profit out of it, like, because no one in the right mind would do something like that just for the money. Like, it has to be in a more, how should I put this? If you think about how do I make a business out of it, how do I make a lifestyle that I can actually keep working on it in a way that actually pays the bills, pays rent, and all this kind of stuff. You start thinking about, instead of thinking of how do I make my project, my code base better, how do I make my design better, you think about how do I make people's life easier? How do I build something that people would care enough, basically, for this? And then you go into another sort of thought process, which is like, how do I know what someone wants? And then you go to realize that you kind of need to talk to your users.
You need to talk to the users, exactly.
That is something that I think that if you're working for a company, you rarely get the chance to talk to them.
Yeah, firsthand,
like
probably not, because
entirely.
Because you have another team probably already doing that, right? You have the UX team or user research team, but then you have this urge and say, yeah, I would like to do that. But you are also consciously, I mean, that if you go there and say, oh, can I join a user interview? And they are like, yeah, sure. And then you're not shipping code, right, for like a day. So that doesn't work, right? I mean, from a company point of view, Alex, Ivan, we love you, but you need to code. We're paying you for coding. So but that's a shame, but it's also it's unfortunate, but there's like, but I really want to understand how ads work, right? Or analytic works. Can I pair with the data people, like the data team, for like a week? It will be cool. And then you're like, it doesn't work for a company.
That is so strange to me. I mean, 5 months ago it made totally sense. Now, not so much. Like, I think that if somehow you get to work with people from other teams, then you get the opportunity not only to understand what they're doing. So if you're a developer, you could potentially help the analytics team with some sort of better data. You could provide them better data, or any sort of problem that only you as a developer can understand that they have. Maybe you could automate something for them. That's a very common use case. And that could potentially save the company like thousands and thousands of dollars, or whatever currency.
Yeah,
I think that
analytics is a great example, because I'm a huge fan. Sebastian always trolls me that I'm obsessed with data and shit, right?
You are
because
a bit.
I find because that for me is like knowledge. I know how people are using the app, because I took a minute to put an event on that button, so every time they click, we know. And And you actually, something like this happened, as you say, it happened this week. So we were tracking stuff for our like non-fatal crashlytics kind of shit. There was an exception, we managed it, but we are also tracking that it happened just for the sake of knowing. And we were able to help the backend team to actually figure out shit that was completely unrelated to the app itself, but they were struggling with like authentication and blah blah blah. And it was like, okay, but we are seeing a lot of these logs, could it be helpful? But again, there was a proactive thing that we did because probably seniority gives a bit of courage. Like, okay, we are doing it, nobody's gonna tell us anything. But it's not always the case, right? There are also cases where you are like a bit scared, a bit unsure, you just want to do your job. And the whole company is missing out on this kind of opportunities, right? Like cross-functional kind of opportunities.
Yeah, what you said is totally true. Like the seniority, you have more courage to do things within the company. I think it's more either the seniority that you have, that you've seen stuff in your life and you know how things go from past experiences, or you might be a new person joining a company and you don't know other people. And if no one knows you, they don't really know what you're capable of. Which is, on that note, it is a nice thing to be working independently, doing your own projects and stuff, because you can basically do anything that you want, which is both a good and a bad thing, right?
Yeah, because you are also alone, right? There is a lot of stuff to do. So you cannot lean on your team like, today is one of those days I don't want to do this. I'm gonna just ask, for help. Or no, the marketing thing is the marketing team is gonna take care of this. I don't care. Oh no, the data team is gonna take care of this. Oh yeah, let's ask a designer something. So when you are alone, you are alone. I mean, it sounds like a joke, but that's actually what it is, right? It's everything is on your shoulders.
True. It's quite of a big burden in the beginning, because you're kind of like, okay, sure, I can do development, I can do design, I can talk to users and so on, but there are 24 hours in a day. How on earth do I, do everything? Especially the first month that I started doing this, like full time, I was kind of like, I was kind of overwhelmed. Like I wasn't quite sure what to prioritize basically, and how to move forward, what to build and so on, because you have like an infinite canvas basically, and you kind of need to ship something. No one's going to be there to tell you, you need to do this, and that, or you don't have a Jira board.
These are the priorities.
Someone, yeah. So in the first month, it was kind of impossible for me to ship stuff, because I would over-engineer the shit out of everything. Basically, sorry. What I mean by over-engineer, if I were to do the same project in a company time, I would do nicely. I would start with tests. I would have like a nice model. I would have like, do TDD in order to make sure that everything works fantastically well and so on. And the more you do this, when you're working independently, is that who is going to care about the test that I wrote? Who's going to care about the nice code that I have, or the nice design I have and so on, if no one is going to use what I'm building? Yeah. So it gets into this cycle of, I need to find people that actually, who are going to be my target audience, my users, eventually my customers, and then you start building what they need. So the first month I built like a super simple website. Like if I were to do it now, basically it would take me a week, but it took me a month, because I was trying to figure out a new technology and also how to do like everything from scratch.
Everything.
And now it's kind of like, the more months passing by, it's more of a, what is the least amount of effort I can put in order to give value to end users. Like that's all it matters. And the more you think about this, the more you realize that most of the times you don't even need to do any coding whatsoever. Like, in the end of the day, you need to, can you do what you need to deliver? Can you help someone? Can you make their life easier? Can you help them make money and so on? Like in the next 5 minutes. Like, yeah. And
I mean, helping people without coding. I want to put this on the table, but we need to thank Alex because he was the one that actually pointed us in the direction of Reddit. Because
Yes.
we completely we are not Reddit users. I have an account for like 10 years, never used it. It was like one karma point, that kind of stuff. The platform never clicked for me. But then he came to us and was like, have you tried this? Because I did some research. He sent us like an email this big. It was like, okay, it took a lot of time for this. Let's give it a shot. And actually, we found another outlet for promoting code with Italians on Reddit because I didn't know there are Android communities there are Jetpack Compose communities there, material designs computer communities there. So I like the idea. You can help. It's just you need to have like a more like holistic mindset. What you do, like the technology and your industry, without this narrow focus. So I just code, right? So
It's not just about the code anymore at that point.
Yeah.
I think we know what's it called? There's a specific bias, the golden hammer, I think it's called.
Yeah,
where if you know how to use a hammer, then every single problem is a nail. That is true for so many different things. Coding is one. For example, if you are a developer, you're going to be like, oh, I can hack this real quick and gonna help, make up this amazing thing and so on. High chances are, if you're a designer, you're gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna design this app or use design thinking, for example, which is a framework that they use a lot in order to come up with a solution to this problem, and so on and so on. But if you start thinking not about your skills and what you do, but the person you're trying to help, then you're going to start seeing the world entirely differently, and you become you go how do you call it? You step in their shoes, and then you understand. Oh, you know what? Most of the times, I don't need to overcomplicate things. What is the simplest thing that I can deliver basically in the next 5 minutes, and so on.
Yeah.
I love by the way, something to. Oh, go ahead.
Mm-hmm. No, I was just asking if we want to look at Slido because we have a few questions that I would like to start.
And also want to take this opportunity to remind everyone, ask your questions on Slido and upvote the ones that you care about that are already there, because that helps us prioritizing them.
Plus, it gives us stats, and Ivan is happy with stats.
I'll give you random numbers at the end of the stream, so you're happy. 5.
Whatever. Yeah. So let's start with the most voted one. So Trollworthy, that I have like an idea of who can be. So they are asking,
Mark,
what plans does Alec have for the Jetpack Compose starter kit?
Mm-hmm. Cool. So the plans itself for that kit is I'm going to continue doing some changes to the kit itself.
Do you want to give us an overview? Because Mark knows what it is, so maybe other people are interested.
Sounds good. So I recently released Jetpack Compose starter kit, which is a nice looking app, both in terms of how it looks, and the code itself is made out of modern Android practices. So you can use this app if you want to basically build your own Android social app or Android contacts app. You could either pick the business logic that exists there, say that you don't want to deal with all the logic in your app, you can steal the code which is in the project and copy in your own project and do whatever you want with it. The code is unlicensed, by the way. Or if you're building your own app, entirely like a social, mostly app, You can take the UI bits, which is already in Jetpack Compose. You can take either the whole entire screens, which is like a single composable, which has other smaller composables inside. Or if you're interested in something which is more granular, you can pick up mix and match specific composables that you can find there. As a whole, after years and years dealing with contacts, basically, I realized how it is such a common use case. Like most of the apps that I have developed so far, both my personal projects and company-wide, one way or another, they interact with contacts. And the contacts, the way that you handle contacts in Android is kind of very complicated, very verbose.
Is a
for
bitch.
those. Sorry?
Is a bitch. It's a real
To
bitch.
put it nicely, yes. So I decided to make this kit so that if someone wants to just focus on the problem that they're solving, they can immediately just get the kit and bootstrap their own app, or immediately move forward with their own application that they want to do. So the plan for that is, initially I made this for two reasons. The one is I wanted to see whether this is something that people would buy, simply put, because I do think that, as Ivan mentioned, that working on apps is a bitch. But if it is or not, that doesn't go through me. I'm not the one deciding whether it's a difficult problem or whether people will pay money for that. The only way that you can validate that is through making something and shipping it, releasing it to the market, basically. They are the ones that are going to be saying, okay, you know what, this is worth the money or the time, whatever, to look into something like that. So the plan for that is continue adding more things into that. For example, I'm thinking about having tablet UI, like a more responsive UI, both so that people, first of all, have their ready-made composables for any sort of screen size, for the time being tablet UI, mobile and tablet UI. And also, I think it's a shame not to include something like that. Like if Jetpack Compose provides a nicer way to support multiple screen sizes, I think if someone is building their own app, it would be nice for them to have like a nicer layout for tablets as well. But the second reason why I built something like that was to see whether there is any interest in Jetpack Compose. Like for me, like as a nerd, basically, I love, like, if someone likes doing UI work and then they did all whatever they wanted to do, animate and all this kind of stuff with the views, and then they touched Jetpack Compose, I think that there's nothing bad to say about it. You can only say good things about it. So I want to see if there's an interest there, which seems that there is. So I'm thinking about other products and ideas around that area, Jetpack Compose specific.
Nice. I mean, I'm checking the link that we dropped in the chat, and by the way, I love the UI, and I think the idea is brilliant in its simplicity, because, as you said, I'm solving a problem. I don't want to be unnecessarily fancy. I want to solve a problem. I'm also fascinated by the pricing model. As actually, it's pretty unique to me. I probably is the first time that I see something like that. Would you mind to give us the reasoning behind why there is no one single price?
Yeah. So usually, specialized software like this, if you're to hire a developer and ask them to build that would be too expensive, basically, because usually it's a company asking for a specialized person to do such work, and that's it. So for me, because first and foremost, I wanted to see whether this is something that people would want or not, but at the same time, I want as many people to get their hands on it as possible. I decided to set like a very low price so that I originally had the pre-sale of 2 weeks without any mock-ups, without any design work, without any coding whatsoever. So it would be crazy to ask for someone to pay thousands basically for something they don't know about. I described what it is, and people, I said, not advertisement, like a listing on one of those websites where you can sell digital products. And I had a few buyers basically. So it gave me a more, this is something, I have a good feeling basically that I can put more effort into this. This is worth my time, me as a creator basically. So because pricing is also something that I need to figure out myself. As I said, it's not everything super clear. I'm pretty sure that other people that see this whole, like the Jetpack, the starter kit, they would be like, that's crazy. Just set a normal price it properly basically, and distribute it, and that's it. I was like, I don't feel comfortable doing that. Like, I think that, at least for me, actually, I cannot talk for other people, asking for money is a skill in a way. Like initially, it takes some nerve. It used to take some nerve, basically, to ask for money, given the fact that most of the stuff that you can find online can be for free. Why would someone pay something, your product, versus they can find other products in a better pricing, and so on, so on. So it was both a way to validate, like to get it out of my system, as in, you know what, people are actually paying me money to do this, which is fantastic. So the pricing model that Ivan mentioned earlier, the reason why it is, he was curious, I assumed. The reason why he was curious about it is because it started at $9.99 basically, and every 10th sale, I am doubling the price. So eventually, after like 100 sales, it would get to a proper pricing that you would normally get if you were to hire a developer to do such work. And it has other side effects basically on that. Like if it is low priced, it means that developers that actually need that because they want to see how an entire project is structured, like they could afford that basically, and they can get that. And when it gets higher price, that is automatically a kit for companies for their own projects and structures that they do not want to hire developers to do the same work. They get it, here it is. There you go.
Yeah, ready to go.
Yeah.
So the project itself is sold on this Gumroad platform, and what do you get? Do you get a zip file?
Yes. So there is a zip file with all the project itself. Normally, it's a Android Studio project. You can unzip it and load it on your favorite IDE. I think that you're giving away nice bundles from IntelliJ as well, so you could totally use that as
well. I unfortunately I don't think
Compose.
I can run it on IntelliJ at the moment.
No?
But I can run
Not
it.
Yet.
I can run it on Android Studio. So
apologies.
No, I'm kidding. We can do Compose for desktop, so probably I can still your composables somehow. So and are you planning on updating the project? How, if I buy it, do I get updates? Like, do you notify me? Oh, Ivan, there is 1.2.
Yep. So there is something that I realized yesterday, basically. Oh, by the way, the listing itself is what it is. It's me trying to make sense of how to do proper product listings. Like, I'm still learning myself, right? So if you do buy the kit, you'll check that there is a README with way more information there, which yesterday I realized that maybe I should include the information of what you really get on the listing itself.
Outside the zip.
So, yes. So what you're getting is during the first month, if you find any sort of bug, either it is visual or logic whatsoever, if you find an issue, message me using the purchase link, the purchase email, and I'm happy to have a look at that. And then any further updates, I'm going to work on that, such as the widescreen support that's going to be there for you for free. There's no charge whatsoever. And of course, I'm going to message the people so they don't miss the update. It's not going to be like a stale project whatsoever. I like to think even before the creation of the kit, before the creation and during this moment, basically, I see it more of an evolving project. Like if you're following me on Twitter, you could see, like as soon as I made the first screen, I shared it on Twitter, people commented and so on. I added more features, people commented. At some point, I asked which kind of design do you prefer? People gave suggestions. I modified the design so it matches basically all the feedback that I received, and went on to the next screen. So it's more of a evolving project, which I think it kind of resonates with people because it creates a story for them that they can follow instead of being by this, you know?
Nice. I love it. So we have another question. I'm going top to bottom. So add your questions on Slido and upvote questions if you like them. The next one will be, how do you plan financially for something like this? How long do you plan on doing this for?
Mm-hmm. That's a very good question.
I guess the whole adventure. Now we are off the starter kit.
It's good to go into adventures with plans, I guess.
It sure is. So something going back to the decision, basically. Why do this during the pandemic as well? At some point, thinking about the whole commute, different sort of lifestyle, different sort of living and all this kind of stuff, the money aspects came as well. That was one of the first questions that I had in my mind. Like, okay, that's fantastic, you know, on paper, but what does it take to actually go ahead and do this kind of stuff? How much money do I need? Do I need a lot of money? Do I need to take a loan from the bank? Do I need funding to start my own startup and all this kind of stuff? So I take it in a very as not cheap, but pragmatic as possible. And I'm like, okay, if I am to build the projects that I want to from scratch without anyone giving me any money, basically, how much money do I need? No, how many months can I maintain my current lifestyle without change absolutely anything, right? So that number for me was about £2,000 per month. And then, you know, I start doing some months like, okay, so how much do I need for a year? And then I start thinking, wait, okay, hold on a minute. How much money do I actually have? And then, you know, doing calculations, you know, you see the numbers in front of you. I'm like, well, I have enough money to do this crazy thing, basically, for the next 5 years. And then immediately it becomes less scary than it sounds like. Like,
you run the numbers.
Yeah, and, you know, I understand that that's insane because it's luck and some opportunities as well and privilege. All these kind of things take a big consideration into the moves that, you know, I move on forward to. I cannot say that this is pure hard work or effort, and I have no clue whether what I'm doing is going to, you know, be profitable or not in the end. But at least the next steps, I can do them without feeling stressed out that, oh my God, I am going to do this and I'm going to be sleeping on the streets or something, you know? I'm a single guy on my 30s, not having any dependency, basically. I don't have any wives, I don't have any dogs, I don't have any kids, and so on and so on. So it's super flexible for me to be doing this random stuff that other people would be like, why, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see even doing that tomorrow, but
well, I mean, okay, but that's not true, right? Because as Alex mentioned, You work for 10 years. If you are not a madman, you probably have a buffer
Yeah.
because shit happens. So it's not even about, oh, tomorrow I want to be an indie developer. No, it's more like, oh, tomorrow I break my hand and I can't work because,
Yeah.
damn it. So you need a buffer of sorts, like an emergency buffer.
Slush fund. Yeah.
So I could do that even with a baby, with a dog and a mortgage. Probably it would be a bit more stressful for me, but the same applies to being a freelancer, right? I could, if I wanted to be like more probably chilled, I would go for some permanent job and say, you know what, whatever, if something happens, I have, I don't know, like sick leave or whatever, so even in my current situation there is a bit of uncertainty, but I roll with it. So I definitely see the privileged position and probably the good timing, because there was a conscious choice. I mean, I bet for you, uh, but I don't want to make it over dramatic, like, oh no, yeah, it's impossible for everybody else. You need to be like in your 30s and you need to be single and you need to hate
No,
animals.
no,
And
no,
then
no. Like
uh,
the the basically before being like, this is something that I'm doing now, quitting my job and so on. I was kind of like, well, I have no clue if it's something doable or not, but I'm going to give myself enough time to understand if this is something doable or not. Like you can see on the internet, okay, I know that you can find everything on the internet. You can find other people, different circumstances, other people with babies, kids, other people with families and different dependencies, different circumstances, and so on. So immediately for me, this is kind of like not if it is doable, because it certainly is. For me, if someone has achieved something that I want to accomplish, I'm like, that's amazing, it's doable. It gets my the doubt whether something can be achieved or not. Like, okay, that is done. So the question becomes, how can I do that?
yeah.
And I realized for me that if I am to work 8 hours a day, I am not really going to. Usually I would feel drained out by the end of the day. The only thing I want to do most of the times would be to, zone out, turn off everything, laptops, computers, whatsoever, just look at the ceiling until I go to bed. So
Okay.
Yep.
because of that, I started doing my own projects in the beginning of the day, the same way as working out. Like I do that in the first thing in the day. It's kind of like paying yourself first, like, which is
Yeah.
like,
I,
yeah.
I often do the same. We had a conversation on Twitter about this. People were like, where do you find time for your pet project and stuff? I'm always tired. And I replied to one of the comments. I was like, I try to allocate 1 hour before work, because I mean it's not every day, because I also train in the morning. So it's a couple of days during the week where you just put 1 hour in. I mean you can do things in 1 hour, and then you're happy when you join the stand up, because fuck them, I worked on my shit already, so
I've
I'm
already
happy.
managed to code something, so I'm happy.
Yeah, it's like if you have like a day full of meetings, you just go there and say, you know what, yeah,
It
whatever.
It's
definitely,
fun.
it definitely changes. At least for me, it definitely changed the way that I saw work, like in a positive way. Because I'm like, well, I've already made progress on my own stuff. Not, I was working on like side projects on my own time because I enjoy doing that. And actually, for a long period of my time during my previous job, I wouldn't do any side projects because I'm like, I don't need to learn anything, basically. I'm good. I have this nice job and whatever. Why would I code on my
I'm
side?
settled.
Right. And then I realized that the side projects are so enjoyable to work on, man. I can do anything I want. Say that I don't like architecture, for example. Whatever, I can do anything I want. I want to try out a different UI pattern. like a design UI pattern. I can totally do that. I want to explore a new technology because I genuinely believe it's fun. I can do that, and so on. I don't think, by the way, it's about finding time. It's about making time. And I think that probably that sentence, you have heard that too many times in the past. And I'm going to give you a very good example how you two are actually doing what I do way before than I am doing what I'm doing right now. Actually, let me put words more specific. You are saying about finding 1 hour in your, you're finding 1 hour to do your side projects, right? But how many days per week are you putting in making this incredible show? Like, basically, it's the same thing. In a way, it's a business on its own. Like, all you have to do is figure out how to monetize it. And I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that's at the moment it's a failing business, but I see
No,
what you mean.
it's not failing. It's not failing.
Not at all. I think that you're doing a fantastic job, and a lot of like this kind of opportunities basically is actually starting something. Because how on earth would you know? Not specifically for the show itself, but as a general concept, how would you know how something is, how to do something without starting something? Like, building a side project, for example, is one thing. Monetizing it is a different thing. But you kind of need to get started to get to the point of monetizing something.
Yeah.
Or
you need people to use it. That's the thing, right?
Maybe. Like, you could potentially make money out of something before it even existing. If you can find someone that, they have this incredibly problem in the day-to-day life, if you come out of nowhere and be like, hey, I can offer this solution to you, they're like, holy shit, this is amazing. Take my money. But then goes all the different discussions, like where do you find people? How do you do this? And all this kind of stuff.
Can I add something to this on the topic of side projects and also time back to what I was saying, that I don't consider this project, even though it doesn't bring me money, but right now I'm actually, it's fine. I'm not on the street. I'm not like, obviously the more money you get the better, but this is not about it. Like this, like the money we get, we spend it like we invest it in stickers. The point is, for me, of doing this is it's something that is so enjoyable and it's so interesting. It's always interesting because, like, sometimes it's just the two of us telling bullshit, and then, like, even if things don't work, we have fun anyway. Like, we laugh, we suffer together through Gradle and everything. And this is an example. I was talking with someone today over lunch, and they they were telling me, like, oh, you're doing a lot of work for the stream and whatever. Yeah, we get trolled together, Mark. I guess by you mostly. But I was telling them, like, yeah, we are doing work for this, but to me, what this brings to me is something that I'm looking forward to. It is something that even if I invest time into, I don't feel like it's giving me back more than what I put into it. And not just like, this is not a money thing. This is a purely personal feeling thing. On Wednesday, I had a shit day. I had problems that I needed to deal with. CI was broken. I was having problems with a thing that I bought that I needed to return, but it was getting complicated. I was very nervous when I got to the point of starting the stream. And within 10 minutes, I was so happy. I had forgotten everything. And it's like, that's the mark of something that, even if you don't make money out of it, the fact that it can make your day better in and by itself is worth it.
Definitely.
It's the people.
It's a form of self-expression, I think. Like, we make things that make us. We spend our free time into things that make us happy, right? if we think that something is important, we put our energy or our soul and passion and everything into
Yes.
it, right? Whether that makes money or not, it doesn't matter in any way. But going back to decisions, life choices, and all this kind of stuff, work and this kind of things that bring you pure joy doesn't have to be a different thing. That's what I believe, and that's what I'm currently exploring, basically. Like, why could I not, for example, both do the things that I want to be doing, accept the fact that there are more other admin things, other things that I don't like doing, because in the end of the day, you have responsibilities, you have other sort of problems you need to take care of, but you have to do them. Otherwise, things are not going to be good and joyful forever. But why can I not do all this kind of stuff while make a living basically out of that? I'm going to be happy doing things that make me happy. I'm also going to be solve people's problems, true problems, out of what I'm doing. So they're going to be happier. So I don't see what is the bad thing about this, Yeah. Zero. Okay, a little bit more clue the more months going by. But if you're interested in something like that, for example, I put more of my effort and resources into figuring out how to do that. I think it's like something I'm super interested in. I want to make my living, basically. So that's where I go.
Nice.
I want to go back to, so we have a question about work-life balance, and I also want to add what you say just now about doing what you like, right? What you want, what makes you happy in your spare time. Can you try to turn it also in something that I do as a living, for a living? And I always think about what my wives always say: when you have free time, you code. When you're like, that's incredibly odd, right? Because normal people, they hate their job, and when they don't work, and then this is not me. This is there are research. And the last one that I looked up, Sebastiano, was on Il Post a few months ago, and they were talking about. Ciao, Francesco Costa, we love you. I pay for my newspapers, so that's how I do newspapers. So I'm a subscriber. Like
the one you do.
No, not the printed one. It's an online one. It's a news website. So, and they were actually pointing out stats. There is a research in Europe where like 10% of people, on average, people living in Europe like their job. 10%. And in Italy, it goes down to 5%. Okay? So that's how work works for human beings, apparently, right? So when you tell me when you have free time, you do the same thing that you do the whole week. For me, that's luck. That's privilege. That's something that I build over time. That's me being thankful because they gave me a computer when I was 8 years old. It's. But at the same time, that's a huge risk of balance, because, well, if I don't check on myself, I'm constantly in front of this thing coding stuff. Like there's no other way. I'm lately, I mean, since Sebastiano convinced me to buy a desktop machine, I also have an NVIDIA graphic card, so I can also run Steam and video games. So I kind of saved myself, because every now and then I also run Steam. I'm playing, what was it, like Ghost Recon Wildlands. Yeah, I'm killing, apparently
pew,
I'm killing
pew, pew.
Narcos 7. Pew, 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 pew. Very, very, very strategic, very like a puzzle game kind of shit, right? Just killing narcos. But the idea is that also saved me from, one more evening in front of the computer coding. And the question that they are asking is, working from home can make it hard to find work-life balance. Working on your own with external goals can make it even harder. How do you keep on track? So,
I think that
go for it.
I think that is definitely, how should I put it? It's incredibly difficult to stop doing what you are very interested in doing. Like if you are coding something or you're sketching or playing basketball or whatever, and you're very into the moment, you're like, this is amazing. I love this feeling. I don't know what it is. And choosing to stop is incredibly difficult. I think we can all agree or felt that one way or another. So for me, because I basically, one of the reasons why I'm doing this is so that I don't only work, even if it is enjoyable or not, it's still work at some point, right? I want to be able to do other things, hobbies, and talk to people like family, friends, and all this kind of stuff. I've set some boundaries to myself. Basically, I have promised myself. Promise is a hard word, but I have set the constraint to work for 4 hours per day. Now that kind of makes work a bit more. How should I put this? I need to put more effort and like make work more meaningful in a way. It stops becoming those are 4 hours that I'm going to be looking at the screen and typing stuff and hope stuff to happen. It becomes more of a planning into the future kind of exercise. I know, for example, that what am I going to do tomorrow, what I want to achieve the next day, and I'll wake up, I'll do my own rituals, read my book, have my coffee, go for a work or exercise, and then I'll be back to work for those 4 hours.
4 days an hour. Wow. Super
Stretch
productive.
goal.
Super productive.
And after that, I'm going to stop whatever I'm doing, set goals for the next day, and do other things. Maybe read a book, watch a movie, talk with friends, and all this kind of stuff. It's not perfect yet. I don't know if it will ever become perfect, as in to have a day and think of like, I managed to both have an enjoyable day and both do all the things I want to achieve and all this kind of stuff. But it sets a specific framework, at least specific routine that I can keep up and not lose my mind, basically. I think it's one of the things that how should I put this? Both for physical and mental health. Because I do believe that I can start coding and designing for hours and hours and lose my sleep during the night to do that. I'm addicted basically to that, I guess. But it's like an infinite resource of energy that I can just use forever, but that wouldn't work. Because first of all, that is greedy. I would only be happy myself and nothing else matters. And if I want to continue doing that, I need to be thinking about other people as well, how what I am building helps them. So it's taking that into consideration. And for me to do that is by thinking, about other people, about planning how to achieve the things for them and so on. So it's setting constraints to yourself is both, it's hard, but it pays off, I think, I believe.
Do you
It
do
has to be done.
like you're mentioning that you have like your rituals and you decided you allocate 4 hours a day. Are you more flexible or more the kind of person that's like, I gotta put this in the calendar and this is the time of work, and when that it's done, it's done?
No, I am a bit flexible in terms of work. So basically, when I wake up and have my coffee and my book, I kind of need that because it kind of sets the mood for the rest of the day. For example, normally I would read books about the things that I want to learn about my business or about something that I'm genuinely interested in. the books for me have this effect where it's going to sound stupid, but it makes me believe that I'm an expert in a topic. So
That's not stupid. That's what books are for.
I think it's completely false. Like the fact that you're an expert, I mean, not the
No, but
sensation.
to make you feel like you are.
Yeah, but
I read a book, so I know that.
that's the thing.
I read it in a book.
I read a book and I'm like, I know all these things now. You read a book about business, whatever that means, and then you close the book and like, I know everything.
Now I'm a business person.
Now I'm a business person, yes.
Even though there are like thousands, a million different books and things to learn, it never ends. It never, ever ends. You get this motivation basically that, okay, I have enough information to move on forward towards what I need to do. For example, what I said earlier, that I kept over engineering everything. By the way, my days sucked at that point because I'm like, well, I can put effort into this, but I don't feel like I'm moving forward. What do I do? And then I stumbled across a fantastic book. It was by the folks that made Base Camp.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
What was the name of the book? I cannot remember.
Remote?
Sorry?
Remote? No, that's on remote
No.
working.
It was about basically building things and shipping things.
Wait.
I'm gonna find it. Don't worry.
Yeah, we can add it to the episode notes. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's like a digital copy. It's for free and everyone can find it.
I think it's Ship It.
Is that the title?
I think I can't remember. I think
it probably
Shape It. Shape Up.
Shape Up, yeah.
Shape Up. Shape
I'm not sure if it is not. I'll go through my own lists and find it. But the idea is that basically what they're saying, what they're talking in the book is like, you don't need all the things that you think you need in order to ship a product. You don't need fancy UI. You don't need fancy code. You don't need all the analytics, basically, if you don't know what exactly you're going to track. You can totally ship a product without any analytics whatsoever. And like getting early feedback from users and so on, like those are the things that I had at that specific moment to read. It resonated with me so much that basically unblocked my brain into thinking, oh, you know what? I am doing everything that I don't have to do. Like at some point, one very tangible example, developer side, I was building a SaaS, like a software as a service. And I was trying to find out, never done that before in my life. Like all my years as a developer was doing mobile apps, basically, for Android. And I had to figure out and understand how to do server-side stuff, how to keep your users, how to do login, authentication, all this kind of stuff. And I was kind of like, I was paralyzed, decision fatigue, basically.
Mm-hmm.
On how do I do this? Because there are a million different ways of doing this. Do you choose a specific framework to do this? I know Firebase has like a sign-in authentication thing people praise about. Like it has a nice name in the market. And even without me doing any server-side job, I was like, that is incredible. I can use that. But then you get into the whole, you need to basically learn a new tool from scratch. Like you need to go check the documentation, figure out how to integrate it. You need to learn the tool basically, which is totally normal. But in the end of the day, you don't really need any of this kind of stuff. You just need to ship a product that people need. Most of the times, like at least for the very beginning, to ship something, you don't even need a database. You need to understand, for starters, if people need what you're building. Because again, if you feel that, oh, I'm building the most amazing thing and everybody will love it, that's only something like a thought in your mind. Only when you ship it and distribute it, give it to people, and people like, this is amazing, I'm going to use it, and actually give money to use it. Because if I ask my mom, hey mom, are you going to use what I built? She's gonna be like, well done, Alex, this is brilliant, and she will have no clue what I'm doing. People can say they're gonna use it, they like it and whatsoever, But the good thing about money is that people are going to give you money if they use it, basically, if they want to use it and so on. It's not a promise, it's an action. So yeah, that's what books do. So for those part of the day, it stays there so that it motivates me to continue for the rest of the day. And for work, it's a bit more flexible, as in I might not work at 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock. I might work a bit later on, but it's still going to be 3 to 4 hours a day. Sometimes I kind of go overboard because I might be so excited about what I'm doing and keep on working. But luckily, so far, that's a rare scenario.
I actually can relate on the I need to put a time boxed kind of constraint. Sebastiano knows that I have been using the Pomodoro technique for like fucking forever. You know, it actually it took me through university, right? Because there was the only way that I could actually do to like have a resemblance of structure when I was studying engineering. It was supposed to be like, you're very straight. Oh, fuck it. I was not, but eventually, you know, I kept it with me also when I work, and I'm actually writing an app for that because I'm combining a couple of things. Because as a freelancer, I work for on a daily rate, and we agree that it's 40 hours per week. So there is no paid extra time, right? So if I for some reason get in the zone and I end up working 10 hours a day, that's unlucky for Ivan, right? And when I started working, and when the contract was not mentioning extra time, I actually forced myself with the timers. Probably somebody in the chat already knows. I have a workday timer on my phone because I have my phone, you know, on the desk. So I turn on the computer, start the timer. 9 hours later, the timer runs, because I also have lunch. So, you know, it's for simplicity because lazy. So it's not. And at the end of the day, I have this thing that says, Ivan, that's it, right? The day is over. Just get off.
Remember, you're a contractor.
Yeah, remember you are a contractor. So no, they are not going to pay you for this. Plus, you are hurting your health. You need to get off. And during the day, I also have breaks. So I build timers. I call it well-being app, because nowadays it's a well-being
everything.
app,
I mean,
right?
Bundle
So
technically is so.
yeah. So I also have these timers that is like they force me through breaks, right? Yeah. So it's a very, very, very structured thing, because if I don't have somebody slapping me, like, even just have a drink, you know, we have people in the chat, drink some water. And I was like, you know, I have that kind of stuff also on my phone, and that helps definitely to, you know, keep yourself in check, because otherwise, when you are passionate, it's like a passion / addiction / I want to fix this / god damn it.
One more thing. I'm almost done.
Yeah, one more. Yeah,
it has diminishing returns. Like, if you keep working on something, say that you don't have that, and everything's great, you can go on forever and ever. It has diminishing returns. The more you do it, the more code you write. At some point, you don't realize it, but it is going to take longer for you to come up with solutions to problems. It's going to take more time.
But even to recover. For me, even to recover, it's like drinking. You know, at some point, it's going to be, when you are in your 20s, you can drink, and then, you know, the day after you have lessons at the university, boom. Mm-hmm. Now, if I drink the same amount of alcohol, it's going to take me 3 days to recover, right? And that's I mean, and that's why I don't drink anymore, because it's a week. It's not even 3 days. But jokes aside, it's not working. I can do like a deep dive in the zone, like they show it in the movies. Oh no, I get in that zone, I work for 6 hours, and then I wake up and I'm like, yeah, I solved the issue, and I actually don't remember how to walk anymore because I'm so burned out, I'm so
Yeah.
fried that it's like I don't know what I'm doing. Where am I? Who are these people? Who's this hurry thing on my couch? So
Yeah. I
so
think that we are emotional creatures altogether. If there is something that feels nice, we tend to just zone in. Why would on earth would you stop doing something that feels so great, right? For different people, by the way, it's completely different. Different people like different things, by the way. If for any reason you don't have similar scenarios, similar feelings about code, everything is totally fine. You're interested in different things that me and Ivan are interested in. But unless you set some boundaries to yourself, both for coding, doing what you love, and a lot of things, it's going to be very, very negative down the line. For example, think about food. I come from a country where food is incredible. I could be eating all day long, incredible amounts of food, super tasty stuff. At some point, you kind of need to be able to constrain yourself because the thing that you love is going to just make you feel
kill
sick.
you.
Yeah, that as well.
I mean, technically everything is going to kill you at some point.
No, but
Like
he's correct, because food is an addiction as anything else, right? Because there is nothing that if you overdo it, it's gonna be fine. Everything is gonna be bad if you overdo it in a massive way. And food is an example, but also what we do, right? I mean, I'm actually at some level, I don't know. I don't want to say that I'm jealous for the people that don't do what I do over the weekend. People that at some point they're just no. I'm okay. I have other things in my life. I don't need to code all the time.
I'm gonna go
But
skydiving.
whatever. But that's also super nice. But at the same time, I also think about what I have. Right? It's not that I'm always coding, because I also do gardening. I walk with the dog. I do other things. I build shit. I do electronics. So that's everything is nice, but at some point you need to be mindful that if you push it too much, it's gonna be bad, whatever it is. So
by the way, on exactly on that note, that I think that for some people, coding is not work. It's like a nice activity. Like for me, I love you came to solve a problem which seems complicated. Let me put it in a nice way. Some people love solving Sudoku puzzles or do Rubik's cubes. I like coding. I see it exactly the same thing. Like honestly, I don't think from not as an activity, but what you get out of it, I think of it exactly the same way. I feel incredibly luck. Like sometimes I cannot believe my luck. How I figured that out from a young age. I think I got first into coding when I was 11 or 12 years old. And the fact that I could do that as a job is that's incredible. That on its own, the fact that I could do this for a living, for me, it was a greater satisfaction than being paid, basically. And
we're lucky. We are very lucky.
Yeah, and because of that, it kind of, I don't know, for me, I thought of it for many, many years as a stigma kind of thing. Exactly what you said, that other people look at people that like what they do for work as weird people. Like, there was a period of my life, basically, which I thought I had to stop doing what I do for work outside of work and start looking at other things. I don't know how exactly to describe it. It was kind of like me
diversify.
Yes, but because it's not what people do, if that makes sense,
Mm-hmm.
which is a horrible, horrible thing. Like doing other things that what you do for work. Actually, keep work outside of this for a sec, but doing multiple things that it's much better to diversify, as you said, into more than one things, the things that you love doing, both for exploring what you like, because unless you actually go out and try out things, you don't know if you're going to like it. You might read in books, you might see a movie about surfing, for example. But unless you actually go ahead and do it, you don't know, because there are so many bits and pieces into that activity you haven't imagined it. Like, how do you get to the place where, by the way, I don't surf. Where do you go to the place where people do the surfing? Who are the other people that you can interact with, other surfers and so on? How customizable, for example, are the surfing boards and all this kind of stuff? Maybe there's an aspect of yourself that you like that you can apply to that activity, or you can take from that activity and apply it to something else. And the more activities that you do, if you cannot, if you cannot go out and surf because the day is bad or whatever doesn't allow you to do surf, then you have all the other activities. You can still have a nice time. So it's a good thing to diversify. Do we have other questions in the?
Yes, we do.
There are a couple of questions. Sebastiano, do you have a preferred one, a favorite one? That you want to pick?
I mean, one has upvotes, so.
Okay, so the one with the upvote, how long can you guys stand? Any benefits?
I guess they're talking about standing desks, most likely.
Yeah.
Not just standing in general. I'm very good at standing. I have to say that.
I have been used, so I can take that if you don't mind, because I'm the only one standing. So by the way,
well, I could stand, but then I would have to stand up. So there's that.
No. Nobody wants to see that.
What?
So the standing desktop thing. I have been standing. I'm using a standing desktop for. It was I started 2015. And because I had back problems, back issues. So the physiotherapist / doctor, osteopath, whatever, the doctor said the more you stand, the better. Try to alternate standing and sittings. And at some point I was just standing because it's actually more practical for me, because I usually walk. So when I walk away from my desk and then I come back to my desk, there is no transition. I'm just at my desk and I put my hands on my desk. Oh, and I'm back to my desk. There is no sitting. I have one of those desks that moves. But I never use it, so it's a completely waste of money because I got the fancy electric one, never used it.
Going up.
So
Bye.
Ciao, Sebastiano. To the moon.
That was super smooth, though.
But so the answer is I stand the whole day, and it's just a matter of a habit. When I was working in the office in Berlin, I asked for a standing desktop. So when I was doing pair programming, the other half of the pair was standing with me. They hated me at the beginning, and then they asked for a standing desktop because they started losing weight. Just because we were pair programming, they were losing weight because they were standing the whole day. So the first day is like, oh man, I'm so tired. Second day I was like, oh, I'm so sore. At the end of the week I was like, I lost half a kilo this week. I was like, what can I tell you? So jokes aside, I mean, for me there is no other way around. Actually, I struggle now when if I see, because I tend to like crunch, like like I start coding like this, like a vulture kind of thing, because it's not a healthy posture for me. So being standing, it's more effective for me. It's simpler, and yeah, that's it. No, I don't know if you have any advice. Do you stand?
As you might have seen, I do have a desk that I can use for standing as well. I used to do like half and half of the day. Unfortunately, I also have back problems, but my back problems are generally worse after I stand for a while. So trying to be sitting in a good position is generally better for my back. So that's why I keep moving, because I tend to slouch and then I realize and I try to be upright. But yeah, so I do have that. I don't use it as much these days, but I kind of want to try and do it again and see if it helps, because yeah.
If you it's supposed to check, thank you. If you decide to have a standing desktop or try a standing desktop, I will advise you to get a anti-fatigue mattress.
Yes.
There are mats that are meant to be under your feet when you stand. They are usually used for people that work in something like that. I mean, you can find looks like the Batman symbol. That was cool.
It's the cheapest one I could find is the Amazon Basics one, but yeah, it does what it's supposed to be doing. So
and because standing on a hard surface, it's gonna hurt your joints. So don't do that. Get a mat, and give it a shot. I mean, it's you can come up with a very homemade solution for a week using like a couple of carpets and a box to have your laptop raised, so you can give it a shot basically for free before you get into buying a desk if you want. So just be creative.
Yeah, we're really not made to be sitting all day.
Nope.
I don't think we evolved for that.
The thing is, even if you
there were a lot of chairs in the Neolithic.
But even if you do prefer to sit, because that's also fine, whatever works for you, take breaks, stand up, move around, even just stand up, move around the room, go to the toilet, go outside, have a coffee, have a glass of water, just do those things. They're going to help a lot. Just moving. Because otherwise, after a certain point that you're not moving, your body kind of like, which is a scientific term for getting sick. I don't know. Maybe is that how you say it? I was lost for words. So, but yeah, it's not good for you if you don't move for a long time. So try to take breaks. You can do it with Pomodoro timers, like Ivan does. You can listen to your body. Your body will tell you when you need to take a break. So
fair enough.
I think what happens, completely anecdotally assuming things, not scientifically, I think that if you don't use your muscles, they tend to just freeze, become stiff. At least that's what happened when I broke my wrist, and for like a month or so, I couldn't use my hand. After that, you need to do little by little exercise so everything starts moving again. I think it is the same, or maybe not, but it feels good to.
Well, moving. I mean, you have to remember that your body, the human body, is incredibly good at doing what you ask it to do. So if you ask, I want to be an athlete, boom, let's be athletes. I mean, yes. Do you want to do cardio? Do you want to do fences? If you ask your body, I want to be on a couch watching Netflix, it goes like, boom, I'm going to be the best at being on the couch. And that's why, you basically just rot. At some point, you rot.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the book, it was another book. So sorry for misleading you. So, but that's actually, I'm going to check this again as well.
But yeah, it's
Nice.
a fairly small book and it's free. You can read it online. It just goes through
Fantastic.
like maybe a sitting or two. And
Okay.
yeah.
Fantastic. I have a new question if we want to go there before we wrap up. They're asking, are you planning to also work for customers or only work on your products? Do you have a list of ideas? I guess they are referring to the second option. If you're
So working with customers, ideally, no. Ideally, if everything goes well and everything is good, I would be working solely on my own projects, and what that means could be so many different things. For example, it could be as the starter kit. It could be a one-time thing, let's say, a bundled solution that people can use, even though they get the updates. Or I'm working on a SaaS product, as I said earlier, that could potentially evolve into its own startup and basically, ideally, automate everything, not hire anyone, but have its own entity be there and serve people, basically.
Are you talking about Audio Bytes?
Yes, that is Audio Bytes. The
do we have a link?
Yes, I do. This time I beat you. Yes.
yeah, it's fast.
Oh, bro.
Yeah, so
Well,
Audio Bytes in
I
one
have-
sentence is a little tool to help streamers and podcasters to give a small snippet, basically, of their stream or their audio. The SaaS Audio Bytes converts it into a small video clip, and they can share that easier on social media.
Nice.
So ideally, if everything goes well, it would be something like that, like living off my products, basically.
Okay.
So
that's the plan.
If things don't go well, for example, in a year's time, account balance keeps going down and down. Even though I do have like 5 years of savings, basically, I'm still concerned. Financially, I cannot be doing that forever and first hit zero and then start building up savings. So maybe I'll consider it as maybe I'll work part-time somewhere, or maybe I can do consulting or whatever. I don't know yet. I haven't thought of that through. I'm a very optimistic guy. I'm like, for a year's time, I'm doing this solely. I'm putting all my focus into this. I'll see what happens. I cannot predict the future.
So your initial time frame is 1 year.
A year time.
1 year brutally focus on this,
Yes.
and then we reassess in 2023.
Yes.
I like
think of it like a year-long sprint. And after a year, I'll do the retrospective with myself. I'll sit down and ask what it went well, what didn't go well.
Would you do it in front of the mirror?
Of course.
In front of the camera. We want you like first week of January. First week of January, like running the retrospective live on Twitch.
Like sitting down and be like, okay,
It's going to be on August, by the way. I started last officially, so it's August to August. To the other question, so that it was a two-part question about ideas.
Yes.
Originally, I was like, okay, for me to do this, my original plan was I'm going to write down all the ideas that I have, all the problems, all the domain areas that I want to explore and so on, and then keep building everything. Build one thing, see if it sticks, move to the next one. Build it, ship it, move to the next one. I'm not entirely sure or convinced that is the right approach, or at least the way that I work after some months into this. What I realized is that I cannot predict anything, basically. So I would rather do smaller steps each time and validate something tiny, see if it works, build something bigger on top of that. So for example, the starter kit is the initial validation of working towards more Jetpack Compose related stuff. So I'll do another iteration of something that's more targeted towards where I'm going to be heading at. I don't know how that looks like yet. So yeah. But yeah, little iterations each time. Ship something tiny, get validation, move on to the next bit. And most of the times, what I've figured is that those things are completely different to my original expectations. Like, say that I think that this amazing idea is going to help so many people, but many people might be interested in a subset of the features that I have delivered, for example. So I'm going to focus mostly on what people want or need, basically, instead of putting all the effort into the whole thing.
Well, there will be agile, like the de facto, right? That's it. Get the feedback, ship something, get the feedback, ship something, get the feedback. This is nice. But I have a few people on Twitter there. They went on this kind of journey, and they approached it in a different way from how to structure the year. A few of them, they were like, I'm sitting here, I have a list of 10 ideas. For the next year, I'm gonna ship one idea every month. So I'm gonna just focus like desperate coders for 1 month of this thing, build the MVP, ship it, and then next first of the month, build the second thing and ship it, and then keep track of what works. Over, because at that point, when you are on the sixth, let's say middle of the year, you already have like a few months of users on the first project, so you can try to analyze, okay, this thing is just it's just shit, so this is not working. So it hasn't worked for 6 months, it's dead in the water. What do you think about this kind of approach?
Originally, I was planning on doing that. That's why I came up with ideas, and I have a full Trello board full of what I thought originally was incredible ideas. But now I'm more of those are just random ideas, man. Like, unless I, again, build something and validate, I cannot know for sure. And another thing that just clicked with me, I realized basically later on, is that in a month's time or 3 months time, 5 months time, I'm going to probably be a different person that I am right now. I'm going to know so many different things. Like 5 months ago, my mindset was completely different to what it is now. Like 5 months ago, 6 months ago, it was more developer try to figure stuff out. And now I'm toning down into the how would I do this if I were to be hired as a developer, and was more about the people, how we can make sure that this is something worth the effort and so on. So your mindset changes completely as you go through this journey, as you said. So it doesn't, because of that, it doesn't make sense to me to have a list of ideas that I thought months before. Like, does that make sense? It's like, it's another person's ideas, basically. And as I go, I iterate, I understand better how to move better, basically.
Okay.
Maybe I'll share that list someday for people to see. I don't know.
Well, whatever. I mean, I'm always fascinated about a list of ideas, because I'm not that kind of person. I build stuff out of pain. So it has to, no. But so it sounds dramatic because I'm from southern Italy. So everything has to sound like very, very theatrical. But the reality is, I have a problem. It's stressing me out. It's annoying me. I hate this shit. I need to fix it, and I fix it. And I started doing that for me and for the people around me. So nowadays, most of the apps that I build them for my wife. So we had Marcel over for the Glance library for app widgets, because I had never built widgets, and I was like, I'm building a to-do list. It's gonna be cool to have a widget. My wife loves widgets. And Sebastiano goes like, there is a new, because I'm talking to Mark and there is a library that Google is going to release. Fuck yeah. that's why, and we had Marcel and I built the widget and she loves it. And I think it's crap because it doesn't resides. It's super weird on her phone. I was like, no, that's perfect. And I was like, yeah, okay. And the app is on the Play Store. There is a business model because there are ads. I don't really. It's there. Ciao, fatto, 2 weekends, and that was it.
That is the thing, though. Like, if you find a problem that it is a pain, then, or you do have an idea there, what you can work on. Now, the next thing to know whether someone is going to pay for that or not is talking to them. Maybe they have another product that they have paid money to use it, so for sure that people pay money for that, or at least something in that they are paying money for something in that. So if you can validate that without building the whole thing, like straight off the bat, that would be fantastic. Another way for ideas, by the way, if you're looking for business ideas, basically, is either to fix a pain point, something that people are so desperate to fix that they would pay money for it, or try to make money for other people. That's how the whole creators economy right now, that's kind of booming, it's growing so fast, is because it's people building stuff for other people to make money. New professions, new careers are generated out of this,
Yep.
That's how Twitch, I would imagine, was made as well, or at some point.
Who knows?
Nice. Okay. Thanks. We have one last question. Do we have time for one last question?
Yes. Maybe. Yes.
So the question is, how do you think while solving new problems or when you encounter something you have never seen before and you are stuck? I guess it's more like a problem-solving mindset approach question. What do you do when you see a problem for the first time and they say, oh, now what?
Yeah, it really depends the level of what kind of problem it is, as in if it is a feature thing. I don't know what to support because I can genuinely support everything, but I need to be more targeted. In those cases, I just talk to my users. I message them and ask, hey, what is your setup, basically? For example, for audio bytes, I had to figure out what would be a way for people to provide their audio, because I don't know. I don't do this kind of stuff myself. So after talking to some people, interviewing some people, had the video calls, it seems like the easiest thing for them is upload the file from the computer to the website, and that's it. Originally, though, I was thinking of, I need to have support for Google Drive or Dropbox and some sort of cloud mechanism and so on. But if people are storing the files on their computers, why on earth would they need something like that? That's a completely different audience entirely. So for starters, you start from that. If you cannot have people to talk to, then books are a fantastic way, or blog posts. Trying to understand how other people are solving problems helps a lot.
Books don't always answer when you talk to them, though. That's kind of annoying.
Yeah, that is the
I tried.
Yeah.
Depends if you're under the influence, Sebastian. So
I don't, so that's the problem, I guess.
It always depends on the problem, for sure.
Okay, thanks. That's great. That was great. Let's try to wrap up the giveaways as well.
All right.
So before we say goodbye, let's give some stickers. And hurrah! Felipe,
Congrats.
congrats for winning the stickers. Let me look for you in the chat. Felipe, where are you? So we are gonna reach out to you and we are gonna ask you your address so we can send you the stickers. So keep an eye on the Twitch chat. I'm just gonna put your name on the list of the giveaways. This thing is
Thank you for
for
the
the sub,
sub.
Zero Cool. By the way, Zero Cool, let me check. Yes, we shipped the stickers for you as well. Ciao. You just need to wait. They are on their way. Let's try to do the YouTube giveaway. I want to give you just a couple more minutes. So let me share the link with you. So if you haven't already join the giveaway and you won IntelliJ license in the time that I'm wrapping, that I'm preparing the comment picker, you can probably just put your comment there. Be quick because I'm almost done. So let me see. This is the video. I'm doing this live, so there's gonna be like a dead time, but bear with me. We are building the software to automate this, and
we were, and then we ran out of time to work on that. But at some point, we'll have time to work on it again. But doing too many other things.
I mean, I got a baby. We bought houses, so there was a lot of stuff going around. So give me a break. Okay, so let me see if I can do this.
Someone in the chat is saying, show us Spike instead.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Here you go. Do you see the dog?
Oh, look at him.
Wow. Felipe, I think it's your day because I think this is you as well, right?
What the hell?
Yeah. So Felipe
is he cheating?
Felipe, also known as Felipe Double Trouble, because I mean, why not? So that was brutal. There was like a 1-2, like a brutal jab hook. So congratulations for winning the IntelliJ license and the stickers. You are not a supporter, Felipe, are you? Aren't you? I don't think you're a supporter at the moment, so you don't get the holo thing. But if you have an Amazon Prime subscription, you can connect it to your Twitch account, get on board on the subscription wagon, and you can get also the fancy holo sticker. So any kind of subscription is gonna be okay for getting the sticker. So if you want to do like any kind of subscription on coffee, keep in mind that I'm not shipping them tomorrow, so you have a couple of days. We are gonna give you the license.
Help us fill up this bar down here.
Oh yeah, we need to do more. Yeah, the new swag is super cool, but it's gonna be expensive to build because
custom shit is expensive. Who would have said?
Yeah, custom stuff is very expensive. Anyway, congratulations again, Felipe. Thank you, Alex, for being with us. It was awesome.
Thanks.
I like the idea. I think it's super brave, and I'm very waiting for the results at 1 year mark in a few months. So nice.
Yes.
Sebastiano.
Yes. I think it's time to say that on Wednesday, we have a very cool guest. We have Clara Bayarri from the Compose team, and we're going to be talking about bringing your products, apps, hobby projects to known phone screens. So all the stuff that the Compose team and Clara's team in particular are doing to bring Compose support to foldables, to tablets, to wearables, to other TV. Bowls. I don't know. All the things.
I think TV.
I don't know. I guess. I don't know. Well, we'll find out on Wednesday, I guess, because I don't know all the things that they're doing, because they're doing a lot of things. So we're gonna have Clara on Wednesday, And then next Sunday, I don't think we have anyone booked for now. No, we do not. So we either going to be coding or we're going to find someone in the meantime. I don't know. We'll maybe find someone. I don't know. I honestly have no idea, but we'll figure it out and we will let you know as soon as we can. That is all for today. Thank you to everyone that subbed. Thank you to everyone that followed us. Thank you to everyone that watched us and will be watching us on YouTube tomorrow. As usual, in a few minutes after the live is done, join us on our Discord if you're a subscriber, because if you do, then you can join us making the thumbnails that we're going to be using tomorrow. And that is cray and super fun. Also, there's a lot of backstage stuff that gets said. You only know if you join us there.
If you are a subscriber.
Yeah.
Our value proposition is very, very, very trolly. I mean, it's the worst value proposition ever. Join the subscriber club so you can talk shit about other stuff with us on Discord. Yeah, fair enough. Alex, thank you again, and feel free to come back whenever you want. You are more than welcome.
Cheers. Thank you for having me, guys. It was a pleasure.
Bye, everyone.
Take care.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.